Imagine a scene that looks like a psychological horror movie, but unfortunately it happened in real life. A 60th birthday that should be marked by smiles and hugs has become a public nightmare, where respect was trampled and crushed dignity. Worse, who should protect simply joined the attackers. This is a story that will make you rethink what really means loyalty in a marriage. From the first date, Anna knew it would be a battle. James' mother received her with a soul-fringed look, as if she was evaluating a defective object in a showcase. Neither a fulfillment nor a gesture of welcome. Just a dry invitation for the child to accompany her, in particular a clear message that this woman was not welcome. Behind the closed door, Anna heard fragments of a tense conversation, where the name of Julia, the former of James and the daughter of the best friend of the family, was repeated as a mantra. When the two returned, the mood was hopelessly poisoned. The mother-in-law didn't even bother to disdain the disdain, a tightness of her cold hand, a pleasure without conviction, and the verdict was given that silent war had begun. The following years were a succession of humiliations disguised as concern. In every family lunch, Anna was the target of sharp comments. The salt of the food was wrong, the clothes were too bold, the job was not prestigious enough. James, who once seemed so safe from himself, now silent, as if love for his mother was stronger than respect for his wife. When Anna got pregnant, her mother-in-law's reaction was a low blow. "Are you sure? No home of your own, without stability." Shortly thereafter, the loss of the baby was received with such a mechanical lament that it hurt more than silence. It was as if, deep down, that tragedy were a disguised victory. But the real blow came on the matriarch's 60th anniversary. Anna prepared with her care, an elegant dress, an expensive gift, topazy gold earrings, chosen with love. She still believed that perhaps that gesture could soften years of hostility. Illusion. When they arrived at the restaurant, the first thing they saw was Julia, sitting next to her mother-in-law, laughing like part of the family. James, visibly embarrassed, just murmured something about special guests. During the party, he moved more and more until he sat next to his ex, exchanging laughter and secrets as if Anna didn't even exist. The apex of cruelty came in the birthday speech. With a fake smile and a glass of champagne in hand, the mother-in-law thanked all who really matter. Her eyes walked the table, ignoring Anna deliberately. "Family is everything," he said, while daughter-in-law felt the weight of each word like a knife. When the round of hugs arrived, Anna reached out, trying to keep the composure. The answer was a slap in the face, literal and metaphorical. "How dare you spoil my day?" The mother-in-law growled in a fury access that revealed years of contained hatred. "You ruined my son's life. Now, disappear from here." And James? He did not move a muscle to defend it. Worse, as Anna left humiliated, with tears burning his face, he remained beside the ex, as if nothing had happened. This is not just a story of a tyrannical mother-in-law. It is a warning about how love can be betrayed in silence, how complicity can become cowardice, and how sometimes the real monster is not the one who shouts, it's the one who sills. The restaurant's red carpet, which minutes earlier it shone under the chandelier's crystals, now seemed to stain with the weight of humiliation. Anastasia was paralyzed. The hand was still burning of the slap that Zinadi Grigorievna had undone with the force of years of accumulated resentment. "Get out of here, scarecrow." The scream echoed like a sentence, cutting the sharper air than any silver knife on the table. Tirchi. Music ceased. The guests, once immersed in laughter and gifts, now they looked at the floor, as if the scene were a forbidden show. No one dared to intervene. No one even breathed loudly. She turned to Kirill, her eyes burning in search of a signé gesture, a word, anything that proved he was still his ally. But her husband remained motionless, his shoulders bent as if he carried the weight of a guilt he didn't want to assume. Beside him, Yulia adjusted the necklace, her lips painted in a victorious smile. The silence in the room was so dense that one could hear the dying of the abandoned cutlery in the dishes. "I'm leaving," Anastasia murmured, his voice broken but firm. He took the bag with hands that trembled, not afraid, but a cold, calculating anger. No one tried to stop it. Not even Kirill, whose gaze followed her to the door like a coward who knows how to lose the battle even before fighting. Outside, the night air hit his face like a punch. Tears then came, not of weakness, but of brutal clarity. She didn't cry for him. He cried for the time lost, the excuses he had invented to justify his omission. At the time he was convinced that love was enough, even when this love was a spent coin, exchanged for convenience. The taxi took her home on a route that seemed to last eternity. With each traffic light, she waited for her cell phone to vibrate. A message. An apology. Anything. But the canvas remained dark, like the heart of the one who swore to protect her. Arriving at the apartment he had divided with Kirill, Anastasia did not hesitate. He opened the closet and started filling a suitcase with the essentials: documents, jewelry inherited from his grandmother, the winter coat he had never liked. Each object it touched was a kick in the memory of a life that no longer served. Tatiana answered the first touch. "I've been looking for you," said the friend, without questions, without judgments. Half an hour later, Anastasia was already in Tanya's small apartment, where the smell of chamomile tea and her friend's tight hug was the first sign that she was not alone. It was only then that it unlocked the cell phone. 3 lost calls of Kirill. A message: "Where are you? Call me, please." She didn't call. There were no words that could fix what had been broken that night, not with a simple touch on the screen. Tanya served the tea in cracked cups, as if even the dishes knew what it was to be fragile and yet resist. "You deserve more than a man who doesn't have the courage to choose you," he said, while Anastasia told the details, the voice gaining strength with each sentence. "It deserves more than a mother-in-law that treats you as an intruder in your own life. It deserves more than a relationship where you are the last priority." And then, as if the universe wanted to test its resolution, the next message came: "Anastasia, the mother blocked the card in the restaurant. We need 120,000 now. I forgot my at home. Can you transfer? We couldn't get out of here." She relays the message 1, 2, 3 times. The irony was so cruel that it would almost hurt. After all, the slap, the public humiliation, the complicit silence of her husband, he had the audacity to ask for money. To save the woman who assaulted her. To play the dinner of a family that never accepted it. Anastasia took a deep breath. He remembered the joint account, the result of 4 years of economies, of nights in Claro planning a future that now seemed a bad joke. 1 million rubles. Your money. Your sweat. Your independence. With firm hands, she called the bank. He transferred the entire balance to his personal account, leaving exactly 120,000 in the common fund. Then he typed the answer. "The money is there. Exactly what you need. The rest I took. Don't look for me. Divorce papers will come from my lawyer. Give me memories to your mother. And to Yulia." He turned off his cell phone before the desperate so-called. "And who? I am coming." A flood of touches and messages. Anastasia just smiled. It was not a smile of victory. It was the smile of those who finally understood. The divorce was fast, almost clinical. Kirill appeared in court with dark circles and a wrinkled suit, as if life had pressed him against the wall he had helped to build. "I started to see Yulia again for months," he confessed, his embargoed voice. "My mother always said we were the perfect couple. I let myself be taken. Anastasia didn't even win. You got carried away because you wanted to. And it was true. Cowardice is not an accident. It is a choice." In the following months, she reconstructed. New job, better salary, a small but yours. Kirill tried to see her, but she refused every date, every lame excuse. "Talk to my lawyer," it was your only answer. Until, a year later, he learned from the gossip of former acquaintances, Zinadi Grigorievna had insisted on Kirill's marriage to Yulia. The ceremony was pompous. The marriage, a disaster. Yulia turned out to be a domestic tyrant, spending her husband's money on whim while refusing to work. A man must provide, it was his mantra, between screams and beaten doors. In less than 6 months, the divorce was sent. And then, one day, fate preached one of his most ironic pieces. Anastasia entered a mall with her young daughter on her lap when she saw him. Kirill, too thin, the back eyes like those who haven't slept for weeks. He recognized her immediately. "Anastasia," his voice was a hoarse whisper. "I'm sorry. For everything." She looked at him not with hatred, but with a calm that only time gives. This was in the past. How are you? Good. And it was the pure truth. Beside her side, the little Polish, the result of her new marriage to Mikhail, a man who chose her every day, pulled her impatient sleeve. Mom, the butterfly. Kirill watched the scene, and for the first time in years, Anastasia saw in him not the man who had betrayed her, but a stranger who carried the weight of his own choices. I'm glad you, he murmured. She didn't answer. There was no need. Years later, when he learned that Kirill had finally found peace with a primary teacher, a simple woman, away from the Ginatha's claws, Anastasia felt no triumphalism. He only felt the stillness of who knows that justice is not done with revenge, but with a distance. As for the old mother-in-law, they said they had aged alone, surrounded by yellow photos and the echo of an era that could never undo. Sometimes, in the silence of the night, she should remember that slap. Not what he did, but what he lost, a son who learned too late that love is not measured by obedience, and a daughter-in-law who, after all, never needed her to be strong. Anastasia, in turn, learned the most valuable lesson: the best revenge is not to burn bridges. It is building a castle so loud that your enemies can't even see the smoke. Without looking back. Because the past, when it becomes prison, is just a weight that prevents the flight. Anastasia would not carry chains. It would not bow to the remorse of those who underestimated it, nor would it feed on the bitterness that so many confuse with strength. She has chosen, instead, weaving her future with golden wires, not those of easy forgiveness, but those of sovereign indifference. The one who does not need excuses to move on or witnesses to validate his victory. And if ever, in dreams or delusions of old age, the mother-in-law saw the reflection of the woman who once wanted to break, she would find only a distant silhouette, crowned by the light of a life that flourished despite her. Not for revenge. Not for hatred. But because Anastasia understood, in the back of the soul, that the greatest of freedoms is to live so fully that the past becomes irrelevant, a closed chapter, a lesson learned, a name that no longer has power.